Look at you put the book here. You're so
I
good.
put the book here. Okay, so welcome back to our channel. This is
Hi.
Bestie Book Chat. Today we're discussing
Kingdom of Ash.
Kingdom of Ash.
It's been a
So
week since the last video was filmed.
it's been 2 weeks.
No, we filmed it last week and I thought. No, last week was when I read it.
Last week was when you read it.
So it's been 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks since we did filming. But why don't you tell our
Insert clip of me complaining about wanting a schedule.
and how thick the book was and it was
Yeah,
gonna
so
take
I
you forever to
complained.
read
Okay,
it.
so I complained that 200 pages a week was too much.
It was too much. It was too much.
And I was off last Monday.
Yeah.
But I ended up starting the book on Saturday afternoon, and I finished it by Monday afternoon.
Yep.
1,000 pages. Because it was good. Like, it was fast. That's why.
Faster pace.
Yeah, because Tower of Dawn and what was the other one? Empire Storms, they're so slow.
Okay.
So I was just like, meh. So I read it slowly because I wasn't that, like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. But
But
you
Kingdom
also
of Ash was like...
you also sent me into like a panic though because you were like Sunday is like okay I'm past part 2 and I'm gonna try to finish it tomorrow and all this other stuff and I was just like I haven't even started it.
That's how I feel all the time with you though. You're like, I read 27 books today, and I was like, I read the cereal box. Like I didn't read anything. So, but yes, I did read.
You read the
it
entire
all.
book in like 2.5 days.
Yeah, 2.5 days. It was like a 24-hour readathon that I didn't mean to happen.
Yeah. So then as my panic to catch up, like I read about half the book on Monday and then finished the book on Tuesday. So I got like everything completed so we could film this weekend.
Yeah, because if not, I was going to forget.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. It's like, so it hasn't been so long since we finished the book.
It's all fresh. And the feelings are still raw. Like I haven't read anything since. Like I did get that one book from NetGalley as a arc, and I think I read like the first 2 chapters, and I was just like, I'm not ready because I'm still freaking mad about this book. And not mad in a bad way, but not really because it just, I don't know what it was.
How would you rate the entire series?
So the entire series is good. Like I would totally recommend people reading it.
Out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
Because I didn't like the ending that much, probably 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah. But read Assassin's Blade first. Do not do this random where we read it in between. No, read the whole thing first.
So people say that you're supposed to read it like after Crown of Midnight because there's spoilers.
Yeah.
But I disagree with that because
I didn't see the spoilers. Well, there's also because Assassin's Blades is novellas, they're like, we'll read the first read chapter, kind of like a tandem, like throw in those pieces. No, read the whole thing before.
Yeah.
Because in the first one, like you really don't need to know Irene's backstory until you get to Tower of Dawn. So people were saying like, don't read her chapter. Read her chapter after Queen of Midnight before you start the tandem. You know what I mean?
I kind of like how they did it though, because then it's like, oh my god, it's that person from this.
Yeah, because no matter what, if you read the very first book, Sam, it doesn't really bother you how Sam treats her. Like it bothers you how Sam treats her, but then if you read the first book, you're like, oh, that's Sam. Like that's the Sam, you know?
Yeah.
Because before you're like, who the fuck? I don't care who Sam is. You know, you don't care that he's dead or anything.
You don't really get all of her past trauma.
Yeah, you don't get her past trauma. Like if you didn't read that, then when she talks to like Sandra about where Sam's body is, you're just like, why does she care? He was so mean to her. And then you realize it was like, no, that was like her person. Her first person before she met Rowan.
Well, before she met Dorian
and before everything, but like her forever person. What I think if Sam was still alive, she wouldn't have cared about Dorian or Kale.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have ever happened.
Okay.
But I think when she met Rowan, whether Sam was alive or not, it was Rowan. Yeah.
Well, I mean that is her.
That's her person. Yeah.
Which we find out at the end of 5.
The
5th book. That's her mate.
His wife. This
whole thing. So this book was like an emotional roller coaster. It's like I remember I was sitting there like reading it, and I know what happens, and it's like you forget all these like the minute details. But it's like when you're going through and like Fenris is like dying or she's getting tortured and she's about to give up, and
I was like I found those parts hard to read with him having to watch it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, because in your mind you're like, why don't you do anything? And he's like, he physically can't until later on when he finally breaks it, and then he ends up like dying because of it. Yeah.
doesn't obey the order,
he'll die. So
and
it was just
he went through a lot too with her.
Yeah,
it's like trauma bond.
Yeah, actually, I remember you telling me, you're like, they trauma bonded, and I was like, I don't care. That was so sad. Like, poor thing. But I just like how everybody got a blood oath bond or whatever to her, and then like Aiden was like the last one, and it was like, that's what you get, you jerk. Like, you were being mean to Lysandra, so that's what you get.
Well, also, like, he wanted a public spectacle, and she was like, here you go.
Yeah, here's your
spectacle.
Yeah, get over yourself. Like, he needed some kind of like it's okay, like I got you, kind of like pat on the back, I'm proud of you type of moment.
Yeah,
he could have just, I don't know, he's very needy. Like, I was team Adian up until he was mean to Lysandra. Then I was like, stop it.
Oh, like the first half of the book was like super annoying.
You're like, you're being so annoying.
Yeah. Okay, so you would give the whole thing 4.5 stars.
What would you give it?
4.5 stars. Would recommend. So my favorite books are gonna be Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storms. Those are both like 5 stars. Everything else is probably about a 4-star. So it's like
Queen of Shadows. Which one is Queen of Shadows? Let's see if they start blurring together. Queen of Shadows. What's the major thing in that one?
That's the one where she goes back to Rifthold after she gets her power. Like,
okay, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like the first one too, when she's going through the tournament. I like that one too.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't really care for was Tower. I mean, I didn't really care for Tower. Like, I liked it, but I didn't really.
Well, it felt kind of like it was
like a filler. Back
to like some information that we've already gathered.
But it also felt like a lot that didn't need. I feel like the main 2 storylines in there didn't need a whole 600-page book.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have been a money grab at some point in time.
But I really liked anything with Nezrin and Sartak. So I didn't mind.
I didn't mind it, but I also don't think it needed to be like a 600-page book. Like, I don't think this one needed to be 1,000 pages either. Like, a lot of that, I'm like, really, like.
Hey, you read the whole thing.
I did.
So I don't know.
I think that could have been.
You said it was fast paced.
It was because I was like trying to hurry up and read it, because I was like, this is a bunch of fluff. What happened? Like, where's the main part? You know, when you get parts of the movie, you're like, you gotta cut out those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, same thing. I think there's some chapters that could have been edited to a page or something. But I mean, I read it, the whole thing.
Okay, so we start off Kingdom of Ash.
There's so many storylines. Can we just go by storyline?
I don't know,
because I don't know if I can go chapter by.
Like, we have to like focus on one character or forget.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so when we start, Rowan is actively looking for, like, it starts with like these like little prince and princess chapters, and it's like it's put into a third person narrative.
Right.
So it's like we're talking about Rowan, but not from his point of view.
Yeah, so, it's like somebody's talking about him, we don't know who. So,
Rowan is off looking for
and he's
Aelin.
with Lorcan, Gabriel, and Elite. Mm-hmm. Them 4 are looking for Aelin, who's being tortured by Maeve and Karen.
Aelin is still like in and out of the box.
But either way, she has that iron mask and on the iron on her hands.
Yeah.
And then Fenris is there in wolf form only, which I was like, oh, he kept him in wolf form the whole time. He's being forced to watch. Lysandra is pretending to be Aelin, and she's with Adian and the Bane.
Yep.
Where's everybody?
Getting their ass kicked.
Getting their asses kicked.
The entire time.
Yeah, Irene, Kale, the healers, Sartak, Nezrin, and the Rooks are flying in and boat in.
Yeah.
Dorian and Manon are looking for the Kraken riches.
Yes.
That's where it starts. See, I remember.
That's where everybody's at.
Yeah, that's where the book starts, where everybody's trying to figure out their part in the world.
So Adian, I think the first chapter is Adian, he's with the Bane. He's actively ignoring Lysandra unless she's in Aelin's form.
And even then he doesn't want to deal with it. Yeah.
And they're traipsing about Terrasen, getting into multiple battles and skirmishes with Ansel.
And Darrow's there, right? Well, he's not there, but his people are there, right?
I don't think
not yet.
Not this soon. Yet. I think
but Ansel's there.
They're in a war camp.
Yeah.
They're doing all their stuff.
Ansel's there. Assassin's Blade. With the assassins, with the silent assassins. They're there too, right? The silent assassins.
Yeah, the silent assassins, Ansel, like all the people that like met up on the beach before they split are with them, and then they're kind of doing their
work. And then Rolf is with trying to find the Mycenians. He's still out there in the world. We don't have
Rolf
him yet.
has not appeared yet.
I low-key want a story about
just Rolf.
Yeah, and what how he became the pirate king or whatever, and then going to find the Mycenians, and that would be an interesting book because there's more to that character.
Isn't that just like the whole plot of Pirates of the Caribbean?
Pretty much. Well, this book gave me Lord of the Rings, Helm's Deep vibes sometimes.
Really?
It did. It did not. It didn't to you?
I guess like with the last
battle, I was like, okay, Helm's Deep. Like, okay, anyways, that's what I got. I was like,
shows up with the sword and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, Aelin and Aelin/Lysandra, they're all fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They're just hoping that like they can keep the ruse going long enough for Aelin to show up because they're worried, I guess, that the soldiers are going to get wise to the fact that she's not using
fire. Yeah, because that was one thing. Yeah, the fire isn't like they're like you could use the fire to like give us a break, and she never does. Right.
Mm-hmm. My thing is like it would have been smart before they sent Rolf off on his journey to actually take some of the fire lancers with them before they go into battle.
Right. Or do something, or even be like I think they later say it later, I guess, but they could have just said like Aelin's not here with us. She's off on a quest, so that way there's a reason she's not there fighting. You know what I mean? So that way Lysandra wouldn't have to keep up a ruse. Just say she's off.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically she was off doing something, just wasn't doing anything great. I mean, she was being captured, but they could have just lied and said, hey, she's not here with us fighting because she's trying to, I don't know, make up some kind of lie. Anything. They could have said anything, and they did it.
I guess they figured it out at some point. Killian's also, like, low-key, like, very supportive because, like, whenever Darrow, like, strips him of his title, he's like, I'm not the leader of the band. I'm going to take direction from you.
Yeah, I'm going to do it because, like...
And Adian's, like, so mentally defeated at that point.
That he's just like, I don't care. Yeah, he was kind of just like, I'm this title name only. I'm still doing what you say to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, nobody's going to listen to me anyway. Yeah. That's later on. Okay.
Yes, that is later on. Okay, so...
What are we... Okay, so they're looking for... Let's get Aelin out the way. So they're looking for poor Aelin, who's being like tortured, destroyed.
Yeah, so Elide is still mad at Lorcan. Gabriel is basically acting as like a go-between to like keep the peace between those two. Because
I was totally team Gabriel. He was just like, I'm just trying to like keep the peace.
He's like, look, I am older than all of you, and this is like some high school bullshit.
Yeah, he was just like, well, Lorcan never really had feelings before. I feel like he was just kind of like a rock. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I have all these feelings, and what is that? What is that with Wilford? He's like, I'm in a castle of emotions. What is that when he's screaming?
I'm in a glass case of emotions.
That was Lorcan. He didn't know what to do with all his feelings. So he's kind of just like, I don't know what to do. She's not talking to me.
Yeah.
And then...
so, like, what did you think about whenever Elide actually confronts Lorcan about her being so upset that after Maeve severed the bond with Lorcan, he was crawling after her. And Lorcan was like, I wasn't crawling after Maeve. I was crawling after Aelin.
Yeah. I was just like, where are you though?
I thought he was.
I was like,
I thought he was genuine.
I think he was too, but I was just like, I'm kind of like her, like, where are you though? I just think like, okay, I think the funniest thing out of this whole thing with Elide is this girl is always on her fucking period. She is always on needing sanitary napkins. She is. Remember when she was running around being fake husband with Lorcan?
Well, she's a human.
But still, like, girl, how many times you go get your period in this book? And then they need to cut up their shirts for her.
She has a monthly cycle.
I was just like, girl.
She's like on the road with a bunch of dudes for 3 months, so she had her period.
But I just was like, girl, you just, and they smelt her. Like, come on every time.
Like it's coming.
And then Lorcan like ripped up his shirt, gave it to Gabriel, so Gabriel gave it to her, but couldn't tell her that was his stuff. I was just like, that was the sweetest, most weirdest thing ever. I was like, poor girl, like forever having her period. So I thought
they're off doing their own thing.
Yeah. But I thought was interesting too, and they say it later on. But the healers come to heal Aelin after she's been like tortured or whatever. So she's like lost all her scars, her tattoos, her calluses, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think it's Fenris later on. He says like the healers some of them you could tell they kept her unconscious longer on purpose, and I was just like, oh,
yeah.
But you never knew what happened to those healers.
Yeah, we never find that out.
Yeah, because he said it was different healers every time. They probably were killed knowing them.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean it's Maeve. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, she doesn't really have. It's surprising that she was in power for so long because she doesn't really have like good foresight.
Yeah,
it's like you have all these healers on Windland to keep Erwin out, and here you are just basically depleting resources,
right,
to get control of one person,
right, that you're scared of.
Yeah, who you end up aligning with.
Yeah,
aligning yourself with later. It's like
it doesn't make any sense.
It's just
all.
there's not a lot of foresight that goes.
I don't think she was the most intelligent villain.
No,
probably. I also think it's because she knew she was losing, so she was just panicking and desperate at the same time because she lost. Once she lost all of the guys, you know, she lost. She did that on purpose. Yeah, so she did it
again. Terrible foresight.
Yeah, she could have just kept them.
Don't you think having these people bonded to you?
And I never understood why she kept Fenris, just out of spite.
Yeah,
just out of spite, because
100% out of spite.
Yeah, like the biggest problem, I think, not problem, but like when his brother died, Fenris, that was horrible.
Connell?
Yeah, that was his name. Like he died and I felt bad, not because he died, because how his death affected Fenris. Because we didn't know him, except for what Fenris told us about him. So it wasn't like you were attached to him. It was only sad the way it affected the brother.
Yeah.
His twin.
Well, it's like he said to Aelin, it's like, I didn't know you hated me that much.
Yeah. Like, oh, sad face.
Yeah.
Oh, or when he tries to, when they need to go save Lorcan, and they're like, just do your thing. And he's like, I don't think I can do it anymore. Because he said, because of the brother. That was him and his brother's thing. So he hasn't tried to do it. And he doesn't know if he could do it because he thought he could do it because of the brother only.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh. And then I think he didn't want to get him out of spite too. He was just like, I'm going to go get that fool.
No, I think it was more to do with.
I think it was both.
I don't think it was both. I think it 100% was because he couldn't use his powers.
I think it was 100%. I think it was 50-50.
Wasn't able to tap into that.
I think it was like 70-30, like 30%. I hate this guy.
At the end of the day, he was also bloodsworn to Aelin. Yeah. So I think.
And he was the one standing by his bed. So that's why I was like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he was doing it out of spite.
I don't know. Fenris was kind of my least favorite out of them.
Really?
Until like this book. I liked Gabriel more. And I've always liked Lorcan because he was a jerk.
Yeah.
You know me. I like jerks.
Who doesn't?
And then Rowan. I've always liked Rowan. With his little bird self.
So, okay. So that was one of the things, and we kind of skipped over it. So Connell had been in Maeve's, also been bloodsworn to Maeve. He wasn't sent to Skull's Bay to like go find Lorcan. That was just Gabriel and Fenris. So we didn't really meet him until Maeve brings Aelin as another form of torture, and then they watch Connell stab himself in the heart. And Fenris then has to service Maeve in his brother's blood. Yeah. Which is horrific.
And I was just like,
so
why?
Then it's also talked about like how they can't communicate because like she's being tortured for long periods of time.
And then he's a wolf.
So so they have
the blinking. Oh, the blinking killed me.
Yeah,
that was like, oh, they're blinking.
Especially since like I guess we get after
after she's saved, they still use the blinking with each other.
Yeah,
and Rowan picks up on that the blinking is some sort of communication. And Rowan, being the sweetheart that he is, doesn't pry or get jealous. You could tell he's a little like, what the hell is that? But he also is like knows to step back because he's not
he is not a toxic.
Yeah. He just lets them, because he knows that they went through a lot. And I also like the part where, and it's after they have them, and you could tell Rowan's trying to like figure out what's going on there. And Fenris is just like, he tells her like they burned her with the fire. She's probably scared to use it. Like, let her be. Like, she'll come to you. And Rowan's like, well, why are you telling me this? Blah, blah, blah. Because it makes him like angry. Because of course he's getting more details how she tortured. He's like, because I know you and you won't stop festering until you know what happened. He's like, so I'm telling you, but let her tell you the details. He's like, I'm just giving you the gist. That's so like that way, friend. Yeah, he was just like, calm down, like, do your thing. Yeah. I was like, oh, they're so sweet when they want to be. We haven't even talked about Manon and Dorian, and they're great. Dorian is. So I don't know if you saw the last TikTok that I sent you with Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah, where he's like,
he's Dorian. He's like, I don't care, because Dorian ended up being. I'm sorry, Dorian's the badass of the book for me. He's the badass of the book.
And you were so bored with him for the
longest. I was bored with him, and then I was.
He's annoying. He just needs to die.
I was like, can he just go already? No. He's so annoying because he was annoying. He was
kind of a pivotal character.
He was very annoying when what book was it when he was just mourning Sorsha the whole time. I'm like, get over it, okay? Just move on. Like, calm down. He was just being such a mopey person for a while, and then he got over
it. Little emo king.
Yeah, he was being very emo until he met Manon, and then it was like, oh, yeah. But yeah, this book really made me love
Dorian's goal for a good portion of the first part of the book
is to get that ward key.
Is to get the third word key, and his idea is to actually close the gate himself.
Right, because he's like, nobody's gonna miss me. Aelin can get married and have kids.
Very emo.
Yeah.
Very emo. And Manon is just like,
stop it. Yeah. She's just like, stop it. Because she takes her forever to admit that she likes him. And I'm just like, oh, I love her.
Because she's like,
not supposed to have feelings. Another
100 years old.
And she's like,
she spent most of her life literally eating men.
Right. So my question, this sidetrack, Dorian never settles, right? So he's gonna grow. Mortal. He's gonna grow old, and Manon's not.
Correct.
Oh, so sad.
So yeah. So and this is
because the mortals are just Elide and him, right? Everybody else is immortal. Well, we don't know about Aedion.
Irene, they're both mortals.
Well, they're stuck to Kale. She's stuck to Kale, so they're gonna live. I'm talking about like they're gonna grow old together. Kale and Irene will grow old together. Elide is mortal, but Lorcan did his thing, so they're gonna grow old together. But I'm talking about like not gonna be able to grow old with their person is Dorian, and Dorian will grow old with Manon. Manon's gonna outlive him.
Yes.
She's gonna have to watch him die.
Manon is immortal, yes.
Right, because that's all of them. Yeah. Oh, Aedion and Lysandra, but does Aedion settle ever? No, right? Because Lysandra is.
I mean, he is half Fae, but I do think they mentioned that he will settle.
He will. So, yeah. So, Lysandra and him will not. Lysandra will grow old, but he won't. Well, no, because will the shifters grow old?
Yeah, they do. Because remember.
So I'm saying, so Aedion will outlive Lysandra, obviously.
Yeah.
So they don't get to grow old with her person. I don't know if that's tragic, like more tragic than. Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe
like
Aedion and Manon get together
later on in life. I don't know.
From now.
I didn't get the reaction. That would be so weird. I never got the reaction I wanted of Kale finding out that Dorian was with Manon. Like, I wanted that to be like, oh, because you know how judgmental Kale is.
Kale is
judgmental bastard, and I just wanted to see that. But I did like the reunion. Okay, we're getting off topic. So wait, Dorian and Manon are trying to go find the Krakens, but his side quest or main quest is to get the ward keys.
He's trying to time it to where he can actually leave and go look for the keys. Mm-hmm. And Manon gets wise to this because she's smarter than everybody.
Yeah, and they're with the she's got her 13 with her.
Mm-hmm.
What else? The 13.
The 13. Yeah.
So he meets what happens to him first? Oh, did they find the Krakens or they meet the spider? It's at the same time, isn't it?
They meet the spider first.
So he finds one of those spider people. It's a person.
Who also happens to be the person
who gave her the silk for their suits and gave her this, and the one that she stole the silk from for what's his name's wings, Abraxas's wings. Mm-hmm. See how it all ties together?
But we find her because she's also a shifter. So apparently whenever she stole the years from
Falcon, she got his power.
And that's how Dorian learns how to shift.
Because he steals the power from her when he kills her. He killed it, right? The spider?
She killed her. I guess, I think he did take her power.
He literally took the power because it wasn't your power, so he took it. And I was like, okay, beach.
But I loved how, like, I guess the timeline of the books is a little weird, but like when we get over to Nezran and Falcon, like he's young.
So yeah, because the spider died.
Yeah, his theory about like if he kills the spider, he gets his life.
The death back. Yeah, so he's young. He's his normal age now, I guess. Mm-hmm. He looks his age.
Yes.
And Dorian is now learning how to shift, which I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so he learns to shift.
I thought it was hilarious though, like whenever he finally was able to change the color of his eyes, that like everybody in the 13 was making fun of him for doing them.
They were like, okay, what did they call him? Blue eyes, and then he was black eyes, and that was
brown eyes.
Yeah, they kept making fun of him, and then he only changed one eye, so he had one eye, one color, and he was just like, I'm trying to figure it out. Like, leave me alone. But like the whole thing was like, you need to figure out who you want to be as a king to be able. You have to let go, and that was his thing. He's not gonna let go.
Yeah.
And then he finally did, and he was a badass.
My homeboy needed a lot of therapy for sure.
He did.
For sure. But okay, so
he's learning to shift.
Manon finds the Krakens and the spiders in tow, and being kind of held captive by Dorian's power, she led the Iron Teeth to the Krakens to gain their trust.
Because she was going to kill them all.
Which is just...
That's a Manon thing to do.
It's a Manon thing
to do. And Dorian knew it. And he was as mad. No, Dorian knew it. Because I think she also knew, like, if all else...
He has, the sword that tells him truth or lies.
Yeah, and then also, I think Manon knew if all else failed, Dorian could wipe everybody out if it got to that point.
Yeah.
So she had a fail safe in case something didn't work out. Yeah. I love her.
She's a planner. She, unlike Maeve, has good foresight.
Yeah, she does. She was like, if this doesn't work out and we end up the 13 and the Krakens start to lose for some odd reason,
right?
I just have Dorian blast them all to pieces.
Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
We're good.
Who cares? Yeah, she's amazing.
Oh, so while all this is happening, Maeve gets word before Aylin's rescued or anything, because like it's been months. She's been healed.
Yeah, she's tortured for months, which was really hard to like wrap your brain around. It's like this hasn't been like a week or two. This has been like months. 3-4 months that they're looking for her, and they're always a step behind.
In terms of like when the book released, it's been 2 years for readers.
But in the book, it's only a couple months.
So in the book, it's a couple months, but because Aylin hasn't been breaking, and then that was the whole thing. Like she kept like going into her mind, and like her mother visits her. Which is, like, really
what is it? You will not yield, is what they were telling her. Yeah, don't yield. Like it's gonna be like don't yield. They're coming for you. Kind of like don't do it.
Yield, you do not. It's like once upon a time, in a land long burned to ash, there was a girl who loved her king.
Who was like, oh, it's so sad. Like this had a lot of tugged on your heartstrings. This book.
Yeah. It was like just like the trauma was just like front and center. But anyway, so Aylin, after months, still hasn't broken. Which is the whole goal.
Yeah, which is but also
gets word of a rumor that there's some Volgs, so she's gonna go steal a collar.
And
then that's what actually kind of prompts her being able to get rescued, because they move her out of like that dungeon that she was in,
into a tent. Yeah.
And then she's in the middle of a war camp. A lead, being a lead, like goes and like makes friends with a random fae, asking for Karen.
Yeah. Which I think it's so weird. His name is Karen. Like
I wonder if we're pronouncing that right, because I was like,
is it Karen?
Maybe it is.
Because my thing is like Karen. Like he don't care for nobody. You know what I mean?
Karen. He's a total Karen. Then.
He is. So yeah. So they end up, but there were no vlog. That was a rumor that Rowan and them put
started.
And then
thinking that like Maeve wouldn't be able to resist. And then that's also what prompts Aylin to be like
more panicky.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm not going to get this collar on me. And then that's whenever she actually attacks Karen, and what prompts Fenris then to break the blood bond.
Yeah.
And then that's like a whole traumatic
experience, because then they finally get her. And Rowan is
even before that, like she's being tortured, and then Karen like throws her against the wall, and I guess like she broke a rib or like cracked something. And that's what prompted Fenris to act, because like he said, like the sound that came out of her was like so defeated.
Yeah. And then she gets out of there, and Lork and the lead get her, and Rowan and Gabriel with Fenris and Karen.
Yeah.
And then poor she's freaking out trying to get the thing off, and they can't get it off, and she's screaming for it to come off, get it off, and they're like calm down, we can't get it off, just hold on.
They're trying to like
pick the lock, and then finally Rowan,
and that's when they were able to like communicate that she could actually do the word marks,
yeah.
But they had to use blood.
Yeah.
So Rowan like cut himself to use his blood
to
so
open,
that she doesn't.
And then they opened it, and then she was just like traumatized.
Well, no, but that's whenever she tells like.
Oh, that's when she gets Fenris.
Yeah, she gives Fenris the blood oath.
Yeah. because Finners is dying.
Order was to survive.
Your job is to live. Yeah, because he probably wouldn't have made it if not for that.
He was probably seconds away from death.
Yeah, and then so they found him, and that's when Gabriel was like, "Well, he's dying because he broke the blood oath." And her quick thinking, because I wouldn't have thought, to do that, but she was able to think that out, and then they did their blinking thing, and then I was just like, "Oh my god, he lives!"
Yeah, that whole scene was pretty traumatic, and I think it's told from Elite's point of view.
Yeah, I think it is.
Elite or Lorcan, I think it switches.
It switches between them. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was
like, and that's the thing. Lorcan and Elite aren't talking to each other unless they have to, and that was one of the few times before later on in the book that they kind of spoke because they were both trying to help her. And I think that also helped that he was trying to help her. And then he gets a blood oath too later on.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was.
It was out of necessity. I don't think she really wanted to give it to him.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I have to be able to trust you, and this is the only way I know how. Because you're a jerk.
Like if you're bound to me, then you can't disobey me or hurt me.
Yeah, and then she only gave him one thing, and that was to protect the people of Terrasen. That was like his only thing he had to do, which wasn't hard to do.
No, but then it's also, I mean, in complete contrast to what he's used to. It's almost kind in a way. So like he's not having to do anything outside of what
he probably would
want to do.
Yeah. And then he could stay near Elite, because if not, she was like, you cannot be in this.
I mean, he could literally just hang out with her and be like, I'm protecting the people of Terrasen, and she's right here.
Yeah.
This 5.
And that's what he wanted, and she knew that's what he wanted to do. She was kind of showing him mercy, because if you think about it, he didn't mean for all that to happen. And he did go save her.
No, he had a panic attack.
Yeah, he had a panic attack.
Give the kid a break.
Yeah, give him a break, but I was tortured for 4 months because of you, so kind of have a little issues here.
So that's the thing, is like a lot of people blame Lorcan, but Aelin always knew that she was going to be captured.
Yeah, Aelin knew everything.
Aelin, but without like Lorcan giving precise location, Aelin knew that like this was her fate.
Yeah.
So it's like Lorcan got a lot of shit for that, but I don't like. Again, like Aelin knew what was going to happen. Yeah. So it was like it wasn't like it was necessarily entirely his fault. Like he had a panic attack.
He did. He had a panic attack, and he wanted to protect his boo, and so he didn't know what to do. And he was blood oath to her too. So who do you call? You call your blood oath person, even if she is a bitch. But at this point, Kel, Yareen, and all that, they haven't really done anything except for they're still on the boats trying to get to.
Yeah. So
they're trying to get to Kale's homeland, right? That's how you say it.
Aniel.
Yeah, I said Aniel.
So so that's the other thing. So they came all the way from the southern continent to about midway through the northern continent, and then they have to go like in order to get to his dad's place or his homeland or whatever. You kind of have to sail by Rifthold up the river to get there.
Yeah. And they went farther enough
and Rifthold
out.
is being controlled
by the witches, so they purposely went out a certain way.
Yeah.
To not be seen, so they can get up there. And I'm just like, why?
It took
longer to get up there.
No, but that's the thing is like, it feels like it didn't take any time at all.
Yeah.
For them to get all the way from the southern continent all the way up to Aniel.
Yeah.
And I was just like.
Yeah, because she's being tortured for 4 months, but you sailed all the way almost around the world.
I guess it took
in like a week.
I guess it took them 4 months to get there.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, fine.
We'll say it took that.
We'll be polite and say that. So like Irene, they all go meet in Aniel.
But the other ones are flying. They should have got there quicker.
That's where they meet. Like that's where the army kind of converges, and then they end up meeting Kale's dad, who is a terrible person.
Yeah, well, we knew that.
Right. Well, he was always a terrible person.
Why are the dads in these books are horrible?
I don't know. Like better.
Yeah.
Better father figures.
Yeah. Well, maybe the next generation will be. So they get there, and
there's like this like little hint that's dropped by Irene after like they kind of set up with the healers and everything, and she's like, I don't know how much more help I'm gonna be or for how much longer, and she like rests her hand.
Yeah, she's totally preggo.
And you're like.
Really? You couldn't have waited. You could have waited. Like, I know y'all are boinking a lot, but like, you could have waited.
Very excited.
There has to be a healer form of birth control. Like,
why wasn't she taking it?
Yeah, or make it like her like do something. I don't know. But anyway, we find out she's preggers. Oh, Nox came back.
Yeah.
Nox.
That was like, I guess he was one of the first people outside of like the little group that figured out that Lysandra wasn't
Aelin, because he knew Aelin so well.
And he was like, so you don't recognize me?
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. You should know who I am.
Well, because like he knew her as Selena, so it was never like whenever he was like, "Oh, this is Aelin," he was just like, "What?"
Yeah, this is
the queen. Yeah. Okay, cool.
But I was like Nox, but that Nox is the one that she was like, "Dude, just leave. Like you have nothing to lose."
In the tournament. And he's also from Paran.
Yeah, and
same place that
Elite is gonna take over. Lady of whatever with Lorcan Lockin.
That was funny.
I was like, Jesus.
She was just like, this is good.
And he was like, I don't care. And I was like, yeah, Lord and Lockin. Like, really?
Lord Lockin.
Lord Lorcan Lockin.
Tongue twister.
Stupid. Just I can't with them. Anyway, so yeah, Nox shows up. Yes. And that's when they start to figure out that Aelin is not Aelin. It's Lysandra.
Yes.
Well, she gets hurt, right? And then she shifts back into human form, her normal form.
Yes, that's later though.
Oh, that's later.
So like not like they're still like doing like their mini battles, but it's like she's sometimes shifting into Aelin's form, like to kind of rally the troops. Most of the time she has to be in shifter form to actually help with the battle.
Yeah, because she turns into a werewolf and then she turns into the snow leopard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I think the snow leopard is like her primary, but
that's like her comfort spot.
But it's just this whole thing, like every time like we jump back to Adian, it's just like bad news.
Bad news. Like he cannot I was like, he cannot catch a break.
Yeah.
He cannot catch a break.
It's like I can't like even having just read this, like I can't remember of any of the battles where they were actually like
winning,
victorious.
Yeah.
Like they suffered a lot of losses.
Mm-hmm. The only time they were victorious was obviously the end, but they saved Kale's homeland. Kind of.
But the Adian's not there for that.
As I was saying, Adian doesn't win nothing. For being the person of the Bane, I was like, okay, the Bane don't do much.
They're just getting like their asses handed to them.
Yeah,
even like
left
with all
and right.
The additional support. And it's just that was like very tedious chapters to watch because not only is like Adian and Lysandra like not in a good place, and
I think that might be depressing. It because they're all their leaders are all over the place. Darrow's not. You got Darrow, and then you have Adian, you have Lysandra. They're not on one accord, so maybe that has something to do with it too.
I just want to throw Darrow away. Like he came through in the end, but like
they always come through at the end because they want to have some appealing arc. But I was just like, no, he needed to just have an arrow put straight through his head and be done with him. Done.
He doesn't have any errors. It's fine.
Do something. Just get him knocked out. Like I don't like him at all.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And then Nezra and Sardek return.
Okay, so now we're going back to
Kale and them, right?
Yeah. So they have a legion of like 10,000.
Who?
Nezra and Sartak, right?
Yeah, they bring all the root riders.
So they have the rooks, like 1,000 rooks, and then Cashin is like Caution.
I want a story about him. I like him.
Sorry.
Caution.
Oh, okay.
The one that liked Irene but didn't. Yeah. I feel like he has more of a story.
Hassan, like the brothers and sisters.
Like I could do a whole Coggin book like about them,
just
like what they're doing and how they became so powerful and free and like all that stuff.
So all the brothers and sisters from the Southern Continent, with the exception of Duva and the eldest son,
they don't go.
Yeah, they don't. They stay in the Southern Continent with their dad, but like they take their legions up to Aniel, and that's kind of where they're camped out. So everybody that couldn't fly in or wasn't like on the boats to like offload at the
they're
boats,
marching.
They're marching inland, so they're kind of like a couple weeks behind.
Can I just say that like fighting back in the day had to be horrible? Like I just marched 10,000 miles and now I gotta fight. I'm tired as hell. Mm-hmm. Like I probably wouldn't even made the march.
So what?
So yeah, they were weeks behind because they were marching in.
So what frustrated me about this whole thing? So Aelin gets released. She gets the thing off. The little folk help them through the mountains down to the coast and
through the cave. Yeah, through the cave of the mountains. Yeah.
That's where they get their rings.
Oh yeah,
it's very sweet. They have a moment. They're starting to like bond again. Rowan and Aelin.
Yeah, she's starting to open up more.
Elite and Lorcan are starting to talk again a little
even
bit,
though it's not that much,
which is like super awkward because they're on a very small raft and like everybody's like hearing their conversation when they're arguing.
And she just wants to like rip his head off, but she can't. She still hasn't like forgiven him, but she's still mad at him.
Yeah, but okay, so the army takes forever to get to Aniel. The Rooks are in Aniel. Some of Erewhon forces meet them there, and then they start battling. So the healers are doing their job. They're defending Aniel.
Elite and them are there, or they're gonna get there, right?
Yeah, they're not there yet. So like, but they're starting some of like the early battles.
Pre-fighting, yeah.
Yeah, and Aelin, after they get out of the cave, they get to the coast. They then have to sail from Wendland and then get inland all the way to Aniel. So it took weeks for the entire army to move up to Aniel, and then they don't even actually show up until after the battle.
Right.
But this little hodgepodge group of five
get there in a day
and a half.
In like hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like walking into the war tent. Hey, this is the person I never thought I would see. Kale's like, oh my god, who is it? And it's Aelin, and you're just sitting there going. So she got from here to here, and
maybe they flew with Lorcan, not Lorcan. Maybe Rowan picked them up one by one and flew them back and forth. I don't freaking.
He's a hawk. He's not that big.
I don't know. How did they get there?
I don't know. It's like they have like.
And then one has a bum leg. Like how'd they get there?
But they have like the ability to fast travel when it's convenient to the story. But like everything else is like
forever. But maybe the Fays move faster. Like don't they run like? You're gonna get mad at me, but like in Twilight when they run really fast, like you know how like they run.
Still have a lead with them though.
Yeah, they could pick her up. Okay, let me give you a better one. Like in Ice Planet Barbarians, when they would pick up the girls and run with them because they couldn't walk in the snow. Maybe they picked up the lead and they ran faster.
Okay, fine. Let's say that's what happened. We don't know because it's never explained to us. Literally, she's on a boat, and then 2 chapters later, she's in Aniel, and we don't know how she got
just
there
walks
so
in like, "What's up, bitch?"
And it's not like the little folk kind of, as far as we know. Just
and what do they mean by little folk? Like, what are they?
So it's a part of like fae and fairy lore. The little folk. It's like
Peter Pan,
baby fairies.
Like midget, like not midgets, but like Tinkerbells.
Yeah, sure, that works.
Like elves?
No.
Like little
folk.
Like Tinkerbells.
Like think Tinkerbell.
Really?
More like Tinkerbell.
You know what I was thinking of?
Because the little folk are also in the beginning of Throne of Glass.
Yeah, but I couldn't picture them in my mind.
Okay.
I was picturing like kids' side. I was thinking like Dobby and them, like little creatures like that. Sure. No, what are they? Are they Tinkerbells or are they Dobbies? Those are 2 totally different things.
A combination of both.
That's freaky. Because in my mind, they were like little creatures.
Okay.
But like I was picturing like Dobby, like not as worn like actual clothes maybe, but just like, hey, I'm your friend.
So there's in like Irish folklore mythology and everything. It's like there's a lot of different types of elves,
fairies, and elves.
And fairies. So the little folk,
Give me an example.
It's like a Tinkerbell kind of Dobby thing. It's just like I can't give you a good example. Tinkerbell. It's just Tinkerbell. We're gonna just say it's Tinkerbell.
That's less exciting. I thought it was more Dobbies. Like
fine, it's Dobby.
In my mind, they're Dobbies. Okay, there's a bunch of Dobbies running around. Girl Dobbies, boy Dobbies, just running around helping people. I don't know. I didn't. Was there a description given somewhere of what a little folk was in this book?
It is a very common, well-known mythology, so no.
Okay, so no. Dobbies. There were a bunch. Okay, anyways, the Dobbies helped them, and they get to Kale and them. That's our first big, like, where they reunite is when they all get to Kale's homeland, right? Because that's when Kale and why are you crying?
It's like my eyes are dry.
This is when Kale and Aelin reunite, and they're like, "This is my wife. This is my husband." Blah 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 blah. Remember, they introduced Rowan and Irene to each other. Kale's like, this is my wife. I can walk
that's
again.
Whenever they're in Aniel, yeah.
Yeah, and this is Lady Irene Westfall. And she's like, well, this is my husband. And you're just like, really?
Yeah, they're so happy
you two
together.
hate each other or didn't like each other.
Well, Kale's the one with the problem.
Yeah, well, it's because he's named after a piece of lettuce. Kale.
Kale.
So they're all together now. And then Hassar is like loving Aelin. She's like, I like her. She
likes the attitude.
Yeah, the attitude. Because she was like, we just call them brutes. It's okay. Oh, because all these Fays walk in, and Sardak is like, I've read books about these people, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they're real. And doesn't Fenris like change it to a wolf in front of them just to be like, yeah, and then changes back real quick?
I don't remember that.
I remember. Really? I think Fenris, because they say he takes up the whole room when he switches. And then it leads there, kind of like, yeah. I'm mortal with a bum foot. Cool. Here I am. Like she's so like she's the one I kind of relate to the most because like that would be me. Like just the mortal.
Just hanging out.
I'm just hanging out. Can't do much. Got a bum leg. I'm just here.
Just trying to survive.
Just trying to be here. This is my friend. This big one likes me. I don't know how I feel about him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's just there. She's along for the ride. No powers. Nothing. Can't heal nobody. She's a lady of Parath, but that's about it.
She's very smart, though.
Yeah, she is that.
Cunning.
Well, she has to be. She has nothing else. Well, she can't just, she can't do anything. But she is she's helping Irene out a lot, though.
Yeah. She's like a physician's assistant.
There you go. I was going to say medical assistant, but we'll do physician's assistant because that gives her more. So then they fight, right? They're all going to start fighting.
Yeah, well, so Erewhon's like forces have already so they're trying to secure the Farron Gap is the whole thing. So Kale's dad, worst person you've ever met, still seems to think he's pretty high and mighty considering he has about 10,000 people bearing down on his door about to murder everybody. And then Aelin shows up as they're fighting to kind of help with the effort, but it's only the 5 of them, so it's mostly it's all the southern continent. Yeah, and then whoever was,
and then they go and raid the castle for gear.
Yeah, so
which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
because nothing fit the guys.
Yeah, so they just got shin guards,
and the forearms and
well, there's shield swords.
Yeah, nothing amazing.
And of course, he's Kale's dad is furious. He's like, what?
Yeah. So then they fight.
No, well,
they wait till the morning. They wait till morning, right, to fight.
Yeah. So then while they're fighting, I guess it's mentioned a couple times that they were thinking about flooding the area, but then it's actually Erewhon's forces that kind of beat them to it. So
the fight happens first.
Yeah. So the battle is currently happening, and then that's whenever they see that
Lorcan's Lorcan's hurt. He's dying on the battlefield, right?
So before that, so the battle is ongoing, and then during that time, Sartak, Nezarin, they realize that there's Ilkin going up there trying to break the dam, and that's what kind of prompts them to start retreating
into the gates,
into the castle keep. So this is when, and during this battle is when Lorcan is injured.
Lorcan's horribly injured. He can't get up, injured.
I think he's just depressed.
Probably. He has no reason to fight.
Homeboy's been fighting for 700 years. And
he's just I'm tired.
Like a bunch of these little demon people are gonna. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think but they do say he gets slashed pretty good and whatever.
It's walk it off.
Right, walk it off. But then the waters. The dam's about to break, so they have the rooks grabbing forces and taking them to the mountains to pull people back because they're all not going to make it inside.
Yeah, so everybody's fleeing back.
And then the core group's back together, and it leads the other ones where's Lorcan? Everybody's doo doo doo, and she's like, where the f is Lorcan?
Yeah. And
everybody's like, well, he's still on the battlefield. He was hurt. They don't even know he's hurt. They just know he's on the battlefield somewhere, right? They think he's hurt.
They think he's hurt, but
nobody can go get him because their powers are either depleted. Fenris can't do his little shift time thing. Where is Aelin? She's there.
Yeah,
but she doesn't go. She can't go get him. Nobody can go get him. That's all that matters. Is that so she goes and
takes it upon herself
to go get
grab Kale's
horse because it has the stirrups that she can reach, right? Because remember, it's designed for him since he was paralyzed, so the stirrups are higher.
Also, it's Hela's horse.
Yeah,
which is the same
type of horse.
Kind of pushes Lorcan along.
Yeah,
so but Lorcan is like blessed by Hellas. The horse has been like.
And then Alita is blessed by whatever god that is, and Hellas and the god that she's blessed by are lovers. I found that out on TikTok.
You also find that out from the book.
I don't remember though.
Like it's Hellas. Not Agatha. Jesus.
It's something with an A.
I just said it, and now it's like not coming to me. Aneth.
Yeah, whatever. So she goes and gets the horse, and she rides like the wind to go, and everybody's just watching from the balcony, like her go.
Well, they can't get out there either. Yeah, like, it's a death.
Well, Kale definitely can't because since she's been healing so much, then he's getting depleted. So there she goes. Hasn't talked to that man in a while. That scene was traumatic. Her trying to get him onto that horse.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets him on the horse, and she's pissed off.
Well, she's okay. So that's the other thing. So he's like, basically like,
leave me,
confessing his love for her, and like, I just want you to be happy, and it's this big like moment, and she's like, if you don't
get on this horse,
if you fall while I am riding like hell to get us to safety, I'm gonna. So I think at one point she's actually literally like holding him to her while he's like bleeding and everything.
Bleeding out and riding back in. And I don't think they're gonna make it because then Aelin shows up with her crazy self.
Yeah, so it wasn't just them. They ended up
it was a lot of people.
She was like at the back of the
like
line,
1,000 people riding
it. She said at some point that she was actually passing people to get inside the keep, but like they weren't gonna make it all the way to the keep.
No, they weren't.
Even like, and everybody else is like also like running for
their everybody's lives. Running for their lives. It's not just them.
And then I think it's Rowan kind of like, where's my wife?
He always like, where's my wife?
So like notices that Aelin's missing, and then like what they see is like, because she's like decked out in the armor,
in gold armor.
Yeah, and so then you can see her like reflecting off the light. So you just see her just going. Doo, doo, doo,
and then one of the rooks grabs her and carries her to. I think it's Borte's. Yeah, Borte takes her.
Borte is like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, they take
side character.
Takes her to like the edge as far close she can because this big ass wave is coming, and she just turns it into steam with her fire.
And then Rowan keeps it from burning everybody. But yeah, no. So basically this is when we find out that the entire time that she was captured by Maeve and she wasn't able to use her power, she was actually burrowing
into her power,
into her well. Mm-hmm. So she has all this like stored up
pent up energy
that she was actually going to save to like take out Maeve, like as a killing death blow that she ends up using to save everybody.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh,
yeah.
And then Lorcan lives.
Lorcan survives.
And
Elie's like, we'll talk later, but
yeah,
I'm really super pissed off at you for like just trying to die on a battlefield.
Yeah, but then he wakes up and Fenris is actually the one watching over him too. Mm. And then I just like when she's trying to leave the room to go help heal people.
Like, hang out with me.
But then he shoots his little power to like fix her leg because it's been Gabriel that's been doing it. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, I missed you, and he's just like, and I'm just like, I hate y'all so much. It's cute, but y'all are annoying.
We're so.
So yeah, so they do their thing, and then Lorcan does things that we never know about.
That's so much later, though.
I don't care. I'm mad about that.
We're not even there.
I'm mad about that. We're not even there yet. I'm mad about that.
They haven't even fully like talked about their relationship.
I don't care. I'm mad. We haven't even talked about Manon and the Krakens.
Yeah, so they find the Krakens. She meets her great grandmother or grandmother or something.
And her side cousin.
Yeah.
Half cousin.
Rhiannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we meet them, and then basically Manon is trying to get them to fight for their cause and convince, and like.
And mind you, like they've been nothing but like Kraken killers.
Yeah, the 13 are known within their ranks
as the Kraken killers. Yeah.
And Manon's asking like basically this huge favor, and she's just like, "You want me to like call these people here to come help you? Like, so what? Like, you have an easier time killing us? Like, what's the deal?"
Yeah.
So, but Glynis is actually, I guess, relatively open to at least talking to Manon and like getting her side of the story. During all of this, Dorian and Manon are having a bunch of like conversations
and fun times.
Well, it's cold in these tents. You gotta stay warm. Okay, so sorry.
What are we talking about?
So her cousin's name is actually Bronwyn.
Who's Rhiannon?
So I think it's one of the other Krakens.
We'll look at that. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
Basically, they're still trying to figure out like the best way to convince the Krakens to join their cause. Dorian is just like, dude, go talk to Glynis.
That's the one to do it,
to figure out
because you remember he knows how to talk to like royal higher ups, because that's all he did. I mean, as a part when he was with his dad being an heir, so he knows how to manipulate like courts. In other words, like who to talk to, who to brown nose, who not. So
but this ends up working in Manon's favor in a way, because Glynis does tell her the way to unite the Krakens
is to light the fires,
light the flame of war.
Flame of wars. That's how you call it, the beacons. It calls everybody together.
Yeah.
But she has to figure out how to get them lit or whatever to do. I still like when she went to and talked to the other witches. Like they flew in and she talked to them and was like, "Follow me if you want," and then just took off. Was like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
the Iron Teeth and the Yellow Legs. She went to go talk to
Iron Teeth, Yellow Legs,
and the Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods. I thought it was the Blue Bloods.
Maybe it was the Blue Bloods. She went in there to talk to them.
Petra.
Yeah.
Petra and her mom and everybody.
And they listened, and then they kind of just
so that was interesting. So they actually flew into where I guess the Wayverns were being trained.
Oh, because she used Dorian she tested Dorian
to scope out
the place. Remember Dorian shifting, and she figured out his plan was to shift and go into Morath. And she was like, "No, you think you're good enough to do that? Try this first." So she was using him, but also it was a good way to test him.
Yeah.
So what did he turn into? He turned into a trainer, right?
Yeah.
Like a low, nobody really cares about trainer, just so he could scope out the place.
Yeah. Figured out that Petra was there as a part of the life debt that Petra owed Manon. Was that, say your piece, we won't kill you,
and then
we'll let you fly off.
Yeah. So and they flew off. They did. Because I was like, oh my god, this is gonna go really bad.
You think so? You think so for sure.
So then, they fly back, and then Dorian. Is this when Dorian takes off to Morath?
It's a little bit later, because I think it's after.
So much happened.
I feel like it's after she fights her grandmother and the other two.
Oh yeah, they show up.
Yeah.
So who shows up? So all the head witches show up, right? The three of them with the Krakens. It's the grandmother. Who else shows up with the grandmother?
No, it's the three matrons.
I was say the three main witches.
The Blue Blood, Yellow Legs, and then her.
So they all show up together.
Grandma,
it's a happy reunion, merry reunion. They show up and pretty much to kill, because it's after the beat, so they pretty much want to kill Manon and the Krakens.
Yeah, and then that's like the Yellow Legs matron is actually wearing the Kraken Queen crown to bait Manon, and Manon's like, "Not yours."
Leave it.
Yeah, and then she ends up
taking her head and then taking the crown. Like,
and then of course she tells the Blue Bloods matron,
"Bye,
leave,
figure it out." Like,
and
leave.
Then she like goes to like face off with her grandmother, and her grandmother is like
trying to leave.
Yeah, no, she escapes too.
Yeah, she's escapes.
Like, oh, then it's not a good time.
And we never see her again, really.
The grandmother?
Do we see her again? I don't remember.
Ooh.
Do we see her?
Did you forget this?
Probably.
This is a huge.
But I remember what we did. So much happened.
We'll get to it later. Yes, we see her again.
What does she do? Remind me when we get there.
Okay. So, like we were talking about, Adian is getting his butt kicked. The soldiers are tired. They're basically in a constant state of retreat. And then they were defending Paranth when they actually have to flee.
They have to leave. Yeah, they got to run away with their
So as after they're able to escape that portion, there's a lot of grumblings within the war camp that Aelin is kind of useless. She's not using her firepower. The troops are demoralized, and it's just it's bad all around. So basically, after this really just terrible battle that Lysandra has also been fighting in, mind you.
Yeah, she's been fighting.
Aedion gets really upset with her and is just kind of confronts her about her and Aelin's plan that they didn't let anybody know about.
Yeah, you agreed
he's
so
mad that he was supposed to be a stud horse,
and he's mad that I think he's also mad he wasn't part of the plan, so he couldn't poke the hole. Because it did make sense. Why didn't they realize from a war point of view? You want her she's say Aelin, okay, Aelin, you're okay with dying, cool. You want her to play you. She can't do the fire thing. So what happens when we need you to, and you can't because you're not here? It's Lysandra, and that makes perfect sense because what if she really did die? She was Aelin was gonna live across the world and live forever long and not ever use her power.
So I think the hope was that Dorian would have taken the place of Aelin because he has fire magic too. It's I guess in the form of ice is his favorite. But as far as the hope to win the war was kind of dependent on Dorian, but they felt that they needed Aelin there to basically rule the kingdom in her stead because there wasn't really anybody else to do it except for I guess Aedion.
Yeah,
it sounds like based on what we read later, is
right.
The crown would have passed to him.
Yeah,
but that was her whole thinking. Is the reason why they had allies was based on Aelin calling in these favors.
And if Aelin's not there, they're not going to come in.
Yeah. So yes and no. I can see Aedion's point, but I also understand why they felt they needed.
I feel if they would have just talked it out, they would have been fine.
I don't know because I really feel there's a stubbornness to them thinking you're not going to get captured. This isn't going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yes, it is.
She's
she's already accepted that yes, it is going to happen.
Yeah.
So they fight. Aedion and Lysandra fight, and so every time she shifts, is she automatically naked?
Yeah.
Okay, so because
animals don't wear pants.
I know, but I'm just saying, hey, everybody got to be by her. Make sure they got a coat nearby every time she shifts.
Yeah.
So she's naked. She walks to his tent. They start arguing because he's like, "You're an idiot. This is stupid. Y'all should have included me in the bit." Blah 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 blah. And he throws her out of the tent.
Yeah.
And she's naked, and it's snowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
they're out into the snow. I guess it's Ren Allsburg is is the only person who's actually kind of being kind to her and all of this really traumatic stuff.
And I just remember thinking, I think she says, I don't know what chapter it is, she was like, everything she's been through, because remember she was like a lady of the night, for lack of a better word, and none of those men treated her as bad as Aedion had treated her, and I was just like,
yeah,
and she still took him back.
Not immediately, though.
Not immediately, though.
Okay, one thing that I know we haven't touched on. So after Aelin stops the wave or whatever and saves a bunch of people, why was it ever a topic of discussion?
I'm learning how to choose the right audio apps for you. Which one do you want to use?
Shut the fuck up. I was talking.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. She does the whoosh.
Okay, so after Aelin does the big wave thing and saves a bunch of people, why was it ever a topic of discussion whether or not the forces from the southern continent were going to head north? That never made sense to me because the whole reason why Chaol went down there was to battle Erewhon.
Right.
Why was it was the whole thing that they were only there for Chaol?
No,
they were only going to defend Rifthold and Otterlin.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to help Terrasen. That never made sense to me. Because there was this whole topic about if Aelin is, worthy of our cause, then we'll head north.
Yeah, when did that?
At what point would that?
What was the whole point of them going over? because Kale's whole reason for going over there to begin with Nezrin was to gather the troops to fight Erewhon.
Yeah.
And the only reason they went was because Irene pulled in the favor because she got the demon out of the sister or whatever. Yeah. So then he was like, the Kage was like, what do you need? And she was like, we're going. So then they send everybody. So why weren't they marching towards Erewhon immediately? Like, you saved this area from Erewhon forces.
Yeah.
Next move, yes, maybe leave some behind that need to defend, but then you need to keep marching forward.
Right, but like,
why are we discussing this? Yeah, why was there a round table on this?
They got to Aniel, and that's fine. Like, there was obviously some people to defeat there, but like, it just like them being like, oh, we're gonna decide whether or not we're gonna go north, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, you're always gonna go north. That was the whole point.
That never made sense to me. Yeah, it's just one of those things that
frustrates. It's like, why does Aelin constantly have to prove she's worthy of things? Like, bruh.
I was like, and that's the other thing. It's like,
why? Yeah. That wasn't
like, they wouldn't have done that to Dorian.
No, Dorian would have been, let's go. It is.
And that's the thing. It's like Dorian has as much power as Aelin, but like Aelin is the one that can't be trusted with it.
Yeah.
She's like the wild card.
Yeah.
Really?
And Dorian's just a hot mess. Yeah. Dorian's a hotter mess than she is. He's just as unstable.
Okay, so after Lysander is
thrown into the snow, they have a battle the next. Okay, we're gonna say it's the next day, but it might be the next hour. The way this book is fucking spaced out.
Right, but they're basically getting chased up to Ormond.
Yeah,
like they're
gonna have their back pushed to get, like, they're kind of trapped too, right? They're eventually gonna be trapped. That's why not yet, but eventually. Not
at this point, but like this is kind of like where, again, like every single time Aedion or Lysander's point of views came on, it's so like,
it's
exhausting because it's like there's no light at the end of the tunnel.
There really isn't, because they're waiting for Aelin and them, but Aelin and them are nowhere near getting to them.
So they're waiting for like
the Mycenians.
They're waiting for Ansel's like backup. Mm-hmm. They're basically like scrambling.
They're like in a limbo.
They're trying to hold the line, and then Lysandra is like, they realize that the lines are starting to break. At one point, and in order to keep that from happening, she transforms into Aelin, who doesn't have any power. She can just fight.
But at least it's
sword
something.
And shield to rally the troops.
Yeah,
because like there were people who were fleeing and the lines were going to break. So she does that to keep the line intact. So then people start fighting for her, but she ends up getting
hurt,
almost mortally wounded by an Ilken. And then that's whenever Aedion comes to his senses and like pulls her off the battlefield.
But she shifts back in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Because
and then that's when everybody's like,
and they're like, well, she's on a quest. And I'm just like, really? You should have said that from the beginning. And then Aedion professes his love for her because she was like, and then Lysandra even says it, like, it took me almost dying for you to come to your senses. Like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's stripped of his title. They had to give the sword back. And he's stripped of his title. Now it's Killian.
Yeah, Killian's in charge.
And now he's just a regular foot soldier.
Yes.
Even though Killian's like, nah, bro.
Yes.
Like,
and then it's at this point that they're actually being pushed up against the river, like you were talking about. So
they have no way out.
So the last battle, I guess, I think of part one for Aedion is they're being pushed up against the river. They don't really have any good options because they sent. I think Lysandra like morphed into a bird and like went and scouted. The bridge had been collapsed.
Yeah.
The only other option would be to go around the mountains. They don't have time to do that, so they're basically doing like their last stand. Still waiting for Ansel's troops, but like right as the morning of this battle commences, they launch the heads of Ansel's entire army.
That was like,
and then Ansel's just like devastated because like that's her entire army that's basically been.
Yeah, murdered. That was crazy.
Yeah, and then
amazing, but for the wrong side. Like, that was brutal. I was like, ooh.
But during that battle,
that's when the Mycenians show up.
That's when the Mycenians show up and basically save their asses and get them across the river. So like they can live to fight another day, but it's pretty
brutal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Terrasen's finally calling.
Well, Terrasen is in a lot of trouble.
Terrasen's a hot mess. Yeah.
No, because like after they retreated. They're basically like they're being pushed through. So that's the time that they actually call. This is I guess this is important for part two. So before they left Windland, we find out after the tidal wave that Aelin wrote some letters to the Fae in Windland, letting everybody know that Maeve is a Vold queen.
Yes, she did do that.
And this is before they they decide to split their forces. So half the army is going one way around the mountains, and then they decide to use the side on the Farron Gap, and then the wild folk, I guess, that live up in the mountains that Cale's father's been fighting with for years, say like, I mean, we can show you the way, but it's going to cost you. And Cale's dad basically refuses to negotiate with these guys.
So are the wild folk kind of like
the wildlings?
Yeah, like Game of Thrones, the people of the North.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Okay, I'll just make sure.
So, anyways,
somebody hates my references sometimes. There will be at least 5 more Twilight references. Continue. I'm gonna binge watch those movies. Okay, go ahead. Team Edward, go.
Completely off topic.
They went the separate ways, and he doesn't want to help with the wildlings. The dad doesn't want to help with the mountain people.
Yes. So Aelin basically says, okay, look, it's decided then. Cale, as Hand of the King, you outrank your father. You make the decision.
Yeah.
So basically, like, and which makes Cale's dad very upset because, like, he's used to being able to be in control of the situation and manipulate his son however he needs to. So he realizes that he's not in a position of power. And of course, Cale decides to negotiate with them. I think ends up giving them some territory in order to get them through the Farron Gap.
Yes. Is this when we realize, like, the dad wasn't giving Cale all the letters that his mom was writing to him?
Yeah.
Rude.
Like, basically kept the correspondence. Like, so any letters that Cale had written were saved up, and then any ones that his mom had tried to send to him.
So
and then when the mom finds out, she was like, I'm out. You're a terrible person. I'm taking my kids. You're all by yourself.
Yeah.
Which is what he deserves, to be all alone.
So I will say, I read the first half in one day.
You're
the first book.
You're insane. I think I got up to like chapter 40 something.
I got
I got to the halfway mark of the book, but not. I think like I probably
because I was like, I'm gonna finish. No, I think I finished the first part in Saturday and Sunday because I finished it on Monday morning.
Insane.
I just wanted to read it all because this one yells at me.
No.
Yes.
No, I was perfectly happy, like making a schedule and taking your time. And it's like I plan on having this book read in
a week,
October.
I did it in 3 days.
Like I was gonna wait until like Swordcatcher came out and you said, "Hey, we're ready," and then I was gonna read it and be like, "Okay."
I read it all, but my brain hurt for a while. Not even my brain hurt. My eyes hurt for a while afterwards.
Amateur. Okay, so
that
that is the end of part 1.
And it's a hot mess, but it was a long book.
It's a very long